Nope, no time today. I haven't heard from him. Yeah, he's good. He lets me know though when he's gonna come. He always emails and but no, he's good. So we're here for Yoga Flow on Tuesday, Tuesday the 17th. Thank you. I'm like, what? Am I in the right week? Okay. So, ah, sit comfortably. And those of you at home, same thing. You can sit on a blanket if that feels better for your hips. Let yourself just easily let your legs do what you need. Let your eyes close. And start to feel the breath now, coming in and going out through your nose. Feeling the breath coming into your belly, letting the belly just gently rise and expand as you breathe in. And if you're comfortable to come into those three-part breaths, inhaling into your belly, into the ribs, then all the way up into your chest. And then very easily start to let the torso circle with your breath, letting your exhalations bring you forward and your inhales back, keeping the back nice and lengthened out as you come into these circles. It's almost like your back is one piece. So that you just continue the circles in the same direction. Whether you want to get bigger and bigger with the circles is up to you. You can stay really small. You can allow yourself to increase the size of the circles if it feels good in your hips and your back. And we are going to reverse direction, so you stop where it feels just right for you, and then just start to unwind, coming off in the other direction. And we're going to rise back up, sitting nice and tall here. So take your time, coming all the way on up now, releasing your hands gently out onto the floor beside you. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. Clasp your hands up there. Turn your palms away from your head so that you're pressing up into the heels of the hands. And just enjoy sitting here, feeling really equal through the sides of your body. Try not to let your shoulders hike up by your ears. Let yourself enjoy feeling the sit bones reaching down into the floor. And then release. Let the arms come on back down, fingertips onto the floor beside you, and let's come forward. Flex through both feet. Feel the outside edges of the feet coming into the floor. You're welcome to have your hands there to give you support or to keep on coming forward if that feels good for you, folding over your legs. And release. Let your head hang and breathe. And one more breath here. And then we'll slowly make our way on back up. We are going to switch the cross of the legs. So bring in your other leg in front. Stretch your legs out if you need to. Move through your feet a little bit if it feels better to do that. And then let's come forward again. So flex through both the feet. Press down gently into the outside edges of your feet. Coming forward, and let this front hip get a little bit more here. Again, you fold over if you want at the end. You can stay with your long back. Let yourself release through your face and your jaw. Good. One more breath. And then we'll slowly come on back up again. And release your hands on out, again onto the floor, lightly touching. Let's inhale the arms back out and up overhead. Clasp your hands again, turn your palms up, press up into the heels of the hands. Feel the sitting bones drawing down, shoulders releasing down so that you're not tensing the shoulders up by your ears. Equal through the sides of the body. Good, one more breath. And then release the arms on back down, fingertips lightly touching the ground, inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our right. Now, if you can, bring your left hand over to your right knee. Let yourself lengthen up. And then on your next inhale, rise that back right arm all the way up overhead, right overhead here. And then just lean over into a little bit of a side stretch. Let yourself release over, breathing into that right side. And then we'll come on back upright. And we're going to lower the arm on down. Maybe you want to deepen your twist and look a little further behind yourself. One more inhale. And let your exhale draw you back into center. Stay here for a breath. Let yourself lengthen up. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, we're going to twist, bringing the right hand around to the left knee if you can, so that you're lengthened up here. Chin parallel to the floor. Coming into that twist, really feel your right sitting bone drawing down. And then inhale the left arm, that back arm up overhead, and start to lean over to your right a little bit. Let yourself come into side stretch there. Breathing into that side you're stretching. And then we'll rise on back up. We're going to lower the arm down. Again, if you want to deepen and look a little more behind yourself, do, if that feels good. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, use your belly to bring you on back around into center. Bring your hands behind you here. Interlace your fingers. Squeeze your palms towards each other so your elbows are pretty bent. Really enjoy feeling the activation there on your biceps, feeling up into your shoulders. And then slide the hands over to the right. And again, once you get there with the left forearm onto your low back, squeeze that right palm into the left one. And then we'll come back through center with the hands and go all the way to the left. And again, if you can rest your right forearm on your low back and squeeze your left palm into your right. So you're really feeling activated up through the arms. And then we'll release to bring the hands on back into center and let the hands come on out. Shake them out a little bit. Let's stretch our legs out into just a little bit of a wide angle, not big. So that when you come forward a little bit, you slide your hands down your legs. You just wake up the back of the legs a little bit. You can go as far as you want. Feel your inner thighs. Keep the back long. And just really enjoy feeling the backs of your legs a little bit more here too. One more breath. And then we'll come on back up. And we're going to make our way around to our hands and knees. So if you need a blanket, have a blanket underneath your knees. Take your time. Get your fingers spread nice and wide. Let your knees get under your hips. If your wrists bother you, come to fists if you feel like doing that. And then just take your time. Draw up into your cat pose here. See if you can stay here for a couple of breaths. So drawing the navel towards the spine. Let your head really hang. And then see if you can just shift your shoulders a little forward. Your hips come forward. Your shoulders come a little forward. And then come on back to get your hips right over your knees and your shoulders over your hands there, your wrists. And then as you inhale, send the tailbone back and up and move back into your cow pose or neutral spine. And then do the same thing. Shift just a tiny little bit forward and then just a tiny little bit back. And then come on back into center, and on your next exhale, come on into that cat pose. And now just move with your own breath at your own time, your own speed, so that you're easing your way, finding that flexibility in your own spine, moving at your own pace so that it feels very natural and easy. Good. And come on back to neutral spine after you finish the one you're on. And we're going to come on in towards child's pose. So bringing the big toes together, knees apart, letting yourself shift. You know, you can stay more on your forearms if coming all the way back with the hips doesn't work. See if you can keep your arms overhead and then let the elbows soften. Breathe into your low back. And then, next inhale, let's come on back up to all fours, curl our toes under, and reach up and back into a downward facing dog pose. So walk your dog. Take your time to let yourself easily find one heel at a time coming towards the ground so that you really open up through the back of that long leg. Feels really good coming into the calf. And then finish off. Come on back to full dog. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. Imagine somebody has you by your hips and they're drawing you back, pulling you backward so that it's almost like you don't have weight in your hands hardly anymore. And then we'll lower our knees on back down. We're going to step our left foot forward and come into our first lunge. So if you know you like your blocks under your hands, grab your blocks. Let yourself come on up into that first lunge. Press the feet gently away from each other here now. Enjoy feeling that reach back through that inner right heel. Good, and we're going to switch legs and coming to the right foot forward, getting yourself lined up there so that that front knee is not coming farther forward than your ankle. Getting the length of stance where you can feel really good about the length of the back of your body. That long line. Good. And we're going to switch again. Now you might want a blanket because this time we're going to lower that back knee down onto the mat, come to the top of the right foot, and press gently into the top of the foot. Now you don't have to lift up. I mean, if you want to come up a little higher and use your blocks higher, you can. Or you can bring your hands onto your thigh, if that feels good, above your knee there. Give yourself support that way. And if you feel comfortable to bring your hands to your heart, you can. Or even bring your arms up overhead. That is up to you. Keep your hands down if you need. Down to the block, down to your leg. Doesn't matter. Be where you can. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on back down, and we're going to lift the back knee up, come back into lunge there for a breath, and we're going to switch legs again. So bringing that right foot forward, getting set up before you lower that back knee down, and then again, press into the top of that left foot. Press your toenails into the mat. And again, if you want to lift up higher on the blocks and get up higher that way, you can, or hands onto your thigh. You know, you can let yourself bring your hands to your heart or arms overhead as well. So just find what works for you, feeling that openness through the front of the left hip. And we're going to bring our hands on back down. We're going to lift the back knee up and come back into that lunge. And then we'll step forward, coming into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. Now, at first here, in your forward bend, see if you can walk your hands out, either on the blocks or the floor, and find a long back, right? So you're kind of walking your hands out, letting yourself come into a really long spine. You can even let your head come, almost like you're doing dog, really. Your head come ears between your upper arms. And then go ahead and bend the knees, walk the hands on back. Let yourself come on into your Uttanasana however you need to be. Use support if you need. You can always use your blocks under your hands. You can use your elbows above your knees. And just receive those breaths. Full, deep, even breaths. Feel how the ribs expand as you inhale. As you exhale, imagine the top of your head just getting closer towards the ground. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips. As we bend our knees, press into our feet, we'll rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So adjusting however you need to come into your mountain pose. Let yourself take your time. Move around a little bit if you need to. Shift side to side. Let yourself feel the feet in the floor. And then bend your knees a little bit. Press down into your feet like you're pressing the floor away from you. And start to feel your thighs gently lifting up then. And you don't want to lock your knees. There is that engagement of thighs uplifting, making space in your knees. Tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. Just enjoy bringing your gaze on out as though you're looking at the horizon. And we'll unfold our arms on down beside us here now. And inhale both arms out and up overhead. Clasp your hands up there. Turn your palms again up towards the ceiling, like we did sitting. Now make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. And then we'll come over to the left, coming into side stretch here, pressing up a little more into the heel of the right hand there. And feel your right foot pressing down a little more into the ground. And then we'll come back up to the top, and we're going to go the other side. So as you come to the right, press into the left heel of that left hand a little more. Feel your left foot in the floor. And then we'll come on back up to the top. If you want to look up, you can. If it feels good, you can look up at your hands. One more inhale. And on the exhale, release the hands. We're going to fold forward and come into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long back. So wherever you want your hands to be. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into downward facing dog pose. So take your time again. Let yourself ease into your dog. Move however you need. Bend your knees or walk. Let your head turn a little if that helps you to release a little bit, to turn your head side to side so that you're not tensing up in your neck. Feel that sense of the head being a part of your spine, the back of your head really being in line with your spine. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to plank. Strong plank. Engage your belly. Feel your sit bones reaching for your heels. And to lower down, you can come down full push-up, or you can put your knees down first. Come down, elbows by the ribs. Now let's come into a little cobra. Float your hands up, too. Hands are floating off the floor. Make loose fists with your hands for a second. And then spread the fingers out again. Bring the hands back down to the floor. You can press up if you want, a little higher or up high as you want to go into your cobra pose. And then we'll release and come on back down. We're going to make our way back to down dog from here, whether you come through a half, a full push-up, or back to your hands and knees and back to dog. And we'll bring the right foot forward to come into lunge. If you need to put the left knee down to get there, do. And then we'll step all the way back into standing forward bend. If you're able to clasp your hands up on your back here, do that. If that's too much in your back, don't do it. Be mindful. If you're able to release your arms a little off your back with your hands clasped back there, you can find a little more in your shoulders. Come to your breaths. And then bringing the hands back, we're going to bend the knees, press into our feet, rising up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse to inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms and come on into your standing forward bend. Inhale into that nice long back here. And we're going to step the left foot back and come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog. And let's let our inhale bring us out to plank. And let's try lifting our right foot a little bit up off the floor. And then as you exhale, bring the knee in towards your chest a little bit. And then stretch it back long again. And then put that foot back down. And let's do the left foot a little off the floor. And now bring the knee in so that it comes a little under your chest there. And then bring it back long. And then put it down. We're going to lower down. Knees first if you like. Elbows right by the ribs. And we'll come into that cobra again. Staying low or letting yourself come up higher if you choose. Elbows hug in towards the ribs. From here, let's shift back into pose of a child. Let yourself come all the way back. Once you get there, walk your hands over to the right. Let your hips shift a little to the left. Breathe into that left side. And then walk back through center. Shift your hips a little more to the right. Walk your hands to the left. Opening up through the side there. Good. And then come on back into center with your hands. Let yourself feel 3 full deep breaths here. And then we're going to come up to all fours. Curl our toes under and come on back into down dog. From here, we'll bring our left foot forward and come into lunge. And then come on back into our standing forward bend. If you're able to hold your elbows, let yourself release there, do. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. Bend our knees, rise on up, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose here for a couple of breaths. Feel a little more energy. We're about to move with the breath through 2 sun salutations. See if you can feel really like the breath is the most important thing as you move through these sun salutations. Following your breath. So we'll release our arms down beside us and let your inhale bring your arms all the way out and up and let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale into that nice long back. Exhale right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale downward facing dog pose. Let your inhale bring you out to plank and your exhale lower you down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rise up. Inhaling all the way to the top. And on the exhale, we'll fold forward. Inhale into that long back. Exhale left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale downward facing dog pose. Inhale out to that plank. Let your exhale lower you down. And inhale into your cobra. Exhaling back, down dog. Inhale. Exhale left foot forward. And inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rise up, flowing all the way to the top. Let your exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. We're going to come into down dog. You can jump, you can walk. Take your time. Once you get in dog, if you want to wag your tail around a little bit, do. Be mindful. Elbows hug towards each other. And we're going to bring our left foot forward from here. We're coming up for warrior 2. So take your time. Let your heels line up here. Bring your awareness into getting that length of stance where you feel really good. The angle of the back foot feels right. And then from here, bring your arms on out. Let your left arm come on top as you give yourself a hug. Releasing if you want into a full eagle arm wrap, but not necessarily. You can hug if that feels better. Feel the feet equal in the floor. We're going to go ahead and release the arms on down. And inhale the arms all the way out, straight out from the shoulders, maybe a tad bit higher, so that you feel the shoulders just melting down. Reaching equally back through your right fingertips and forward through your left. Good. Let's turn that left palm up. Fold your right arm behind you onto your low back, the forearm, and then let yourself reach up into your reverse warrior. Inhaling into that left side of the body. One more breath, and on your exhale, coming on into that side angle. Now keep your right hand behind you if you can. So you bring your hand or your forearm down to your thigh. Let your right palm face away from you so you've got the back of your hand into your low back there. Just for a breath or two. Now some of you may even want to send the hand more down towards your left hip or wrap it around to try to hold the top of your left thigh a little bit. You may not want to do that, Depends on your shoulder. One more breath. And now go ahead and lie your right arm flat on the side of your body. So you're just laying it right there on top. And now we're going to trail our fingers up the right side of the body, right in by our ribs, in front of our shoulder, by our ear, and extend now into extended side angle pose. Now press down into that left forearm. Let yourself, don't sink into that arm so that you allow the ear and the shoulder to be too close. One more breath. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press those feet away from each other. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel. And we're going to come on forward for a wide-legged forward bend. Grab your blocks if you'd like. Let yourself take your time. Bend a knee at a time as you come on into hands either on the floor or the blocks or wherever feels good. Just be mindful. Let the inner thighs get a nice release. And then come on back into feeling centered between your feet there, between your legs. And walk over towards your right foot. Doesn't matter how far. Let your right hand just release up to your right hip. You can roll the right shoulder up a little if you want. And then we'll come on back down with the hand. We're going to walk back through center and go to the left again as far as you want to go. And then let your left hand come up. You can decide if you want to roll the shoulder up or not. And then we'll release. We're going to come on back into center. If you are able to, turn your hands, fingertips facing back behind you, and walk your hands back as far as you can go. Now, if this doesn't work for you, don't do it. Stay forward. Keep your back long. Only if this feels okay in your back. Wherever you are, let yourself be with your breath. Full, deep, even breaths. Let go of your face. Let your jaw release. Let the breaths even out. Inhales and exhales becoming a little more equal in length. One more breath. And we're going to walk our hands back out because we are going to walk back to our left foot and come back into our lunge here. Once you get there, take your time, really feel your lunge, and then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the toes a couple of times, 1 foot at a time, and see if you can really stay like on that 1 foot with the toes so that the toenails are on the mat. Stay there for a second before you switch so you can give your foot time. Also gives you a very nice stretch in the long leg and your calf. Good. And then come on back to dog. Now you got options. You can come down here into child's pose. You can stay in dog. You can move through for go all the way to chaturanga. Let yourself come into flowing through into a back bend, more like a kriya if you want. So take your time. Whether you choose to do vinyasas or kriyas, up to you. And then we'll meet back in down dog. So let yourself come on back into your down dog here. And this time we'll bring the right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So again, lining those heels up. Bending into that front knee just so, right? Really lining it up there. Floating your arms on up and out. And we'll bring the right arm on top of the left. Give ourselves a hug here. Feel free to come into the wrap if you want to. The eagle arms or not, right? You can stay hugging. Really feel nice and open between the shoulder blades on your back. And then we'll release arms down. Inhale the arms all the way into those warrior two arms. Bringing your gaze out over the top of that left hand. Shoulders softening down. Feet gently pressing away from each other. Now we're going to fold that left arm behind us. Forearm onto the low back. Turn the right palm up. Inhale, reach up or even a little behind yourself. Nice breath into the right ribs. And on your next exhale, coming on into your right hand or forearm, being there above your knee. If you're on your forearm, turn your right palm up and spread your hands. Really spread that hand. And now, keep your left hand behind you here for a second. Roll that left shoulder up. Let yourself open up here. Imagine sending that hand a little more to the right if you can. Maybe even wrapping it onto the top of your thigh. You don't need to. That's up to you and your shoulder. And then take the left arm and just lay it on the side of your body for a second. Here we are. We're about to extend with the left arms trailing up, left hand by the ribs, in front of the shoulder, by your ear, and then lengthening into that extended side angle. Pressing into that right forearm, drawing the outer right hip back. So much length. We're going to press into the feet as we rise back into warrior two. Really let yourself soften your shoulders down. And then bring the hands on around to the hips as we come forward. Adjust your stance. Come on forward into your wide-legged forward bend. This time, once you get your hands down, turn your toes out a little bit. And then bend one knee at a time with the toes turned out. So be really mindful here. Those of you who like to go low in this, you can. So you can bend your right knee, use your left hand behind you, and shift your hips down towards the ground if you want to go a little deeper. But you don't need to. You can stay, just bend the knee, maybe just lift the foot without the hips coming down. Coming back into center, let's turn our feet more parallel if we can. You can be even a little pigeon-toed if you're real open in this pose. Protects your hamstring attachments back there at your sitting bones. And then come on into the pose where you're comfortable, right? So you really can let go of your upper body, whether your hands are between your feet or you have your forearms on a block or blocks or your head on blocks or elbows above the knees to give your back support. Let yourself release the upper body here. Feel the breath easily coming in and going out. One more nice full deep inhale and exhale. And then we're going to walk our hands back out. We're going to walk back to our right foot, coming on back into lunge. Find your lunge. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. And again, you're on your own. If you'd like to do vinyasas or kriyas, if you'd like to put your knees down, if you'd like to stay in down dog, ease your way into really what your body is telling you it needs. Good. And we'll meet back in downward facing dog pose again. And this time bringing the left foot forward, we're headed up for a warrior one. So Adjusting that back foot. Have your blocks handy here by the front of your mat. And bring your shoulders on around. Let yourself release your arms out beside you. Turn your palms forward. Imagine there's just a breath of air between your arms and your torso here. So it feels really good, easy to be open across the chest. Feel the feet equal in the floor. So really feel that back foot, arch lifting up. Open this through the front of that right hip. And then we'll bend our elbows, bring our hands to meet in front of our chest. And let's inhale the hands up through the midline. Go ahead and interclasp your hands, send your pointer finger up. Let yourself hug your elbows in towards your face. Totally up to you, whether you add a lift here at the base of the shoulder blades, bringing your gaze up higher. Just let yourself feel the elbows hugging in, but not shoulders lifting up, right? It's like you're framing your face. One more breath. And then release the arms beside you. We're going to come down with the hands to the blocks and find a lunge. Releasing that right heel now directly behind your foot. We're going to add your twist of choice. So you can keep your right hand down. Left hand can come up to the hip, the low back. Stretch the arm up overhead. Some of you might actually want to readjust and bring your right elbow over to your left knee and bring your hands into prayer hands. So you can pick the twist that you want here, keeping the right hand down or coming into hands there into prayer hands. One more breath. And then we'll come on down, back to lunge. Now we're going to come into pyramid. So we're coming from the ground up, adjusting now to straighten both legs out and lowering that right heel in a little bit and down to the ground. So there's that slight turnout in the back foot. Engage your belly now. Imagine you're trying to draw your hip pointers towards each other. Really lengthen out. So if you like to use the blocks to find that length, do. So your spine is long, because we're going to add left hand up to the left hip and rolling that left shoulder up, coming into revolved triangle. So thighs are lifting upward. Feel the feet equal in the floor. Again, think of the four corners of both feet. And then we'll release and come on back down with that hand. Now, if you want to fold over that front leg, by all means do. You can even turn your fingertips towards the foot of your mat. Let yourself fold over there. If that feels good for your shoulders, you can turn the hands that way. One more breath. Good. And then walk your hands on back so you can find lunge again. Come on back into that lunge, home to lunge. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times again. Let yourself really release through your feet. And then find your dog, lift your right foot a little off the floor, circle through the ankle a little bit, both ways, and then kind of shake it out. Shake out your foot, your leg, and then just put that foot back down and go to the left. So you lift the foot up, circle a little there through the ankle, and then kind of wiggle it around. Let your legs shake out a little bit. Good. And then come on back into dog. If you want to do vinyasa or kriya, go for it. If you're done with that, you just want to put your knees down and rest, or maybe you want to let yourself come into child's pose. And then we'll meet back in down dog. And we will bring the right foot forward. We're coming on into warrior one on this other side. So again, you want your blocks handy. Get yourself around there again. Shoulders get square to the front of the mat. Arms release, a breath away with the palms turning forward. And I mean, if it feels better to let your hands come forward, do, or they can stay kind of straight down out from your shoulders instead of forward. It depends on your own shoulders. Let it feel good, easy. So it almost feels like your arms are just growing out of your back. You're having that sense of the entire body here in your warrior one. And then as you bend your elbows and let your hands softly come together there in front of your chest, feel the connection of your hands. And we'll inhale the hands up through the midline. Clasp the hands, send the pointer finger up. Elbows hugging in, rising up if you choose with your gaze. Feel that lift through the front of the body. Feel that left foot fully on the floor. Think of both your arches lifting up. One more breath. And then we're going to release, arms on down. We're coming back down with the hands to find lunge. So again, now you're going to release that left heel directly behind and add your twist. Right hand to the right hip or low back. Stretch the arm up if you want, or bring that left elbow across to your right knee. Come into a twisted prayer there if you'd rather. And then we'll bring our hand on back down. We're going to make our way to pyramid here. So there's an adjustment to get that back foot down onto the floor fully now. Both legs are straight, back foot turned out, 20 or 30 degrees. Thighs engaging upward. Lengthen out. Really think now of really lengthening out through the spine. Doesn't matter what height you are with your hands. Find that nice length through the spine. It'll make it easier then to bring the right hand on up to the hip or the low back, rolling that shoulder up, letting yourself come into revolved triangle. Good. One more breath. And then let your hand come on back down. Now you can fold over the leg if you want, only if it feels good. Again, if you like to turn your hands and let the fingertips face the bottom of the mat, you can. And fold over that leg. That is totally optional. And then we're going to walk our hands back so we can find lunge again. Let yourself come into your lunge. Nice, and we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose from here. Last vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do any. If not, put your knees down, rest, stay in dog if you'd rather. Let yourself feel good. Good. And then we're going to meet back in down dog. And from here, let's separate our feet wider on the mat towards the outside edges. Bend our knees, walk our hands back. Now, you can come into however you want here. You can put your elbows above your knees and let yourself release there. Or send your feet your hands to the inside of your feet, around the back of your feet, and to the outside of your ankles if you want. And you can stay up high with the hips like that, or you can shift down with the hips. So that's up to you. Just be mindful of your back and your hips. And then we're going to slowly come on back up with the hips. Let our feet come back to underneath our hips. Come into your standing forward bend. Full deep breaths. And then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise up. And let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And enjoy mountain pose. Nice to feel the energy flowing through the body now. You can probably be aware of feeling your heartbeat. And then we'll go ahead and let our hands come on down. Shake out a little bit. Move through your feet. Walk around if you need to. Shake your hands out. We're going to come to the wall. So let's bring our mats into the wall and short edge of the mat in. And we'll come into a little tree pose first here. So let's turn left hand towards the wall. And let yourself get close enough to where you can put your hand to the wall easily and give yourself support if you need. Bring your right foot in either below your knee, onto your calf, or bring that right foot on up higher if you want, up as high as you can get the foot so that you're not pressing on the inside of your knee. And then take your time. Let yourself play a little bit with bringing your hand off the wall, hands either to the heart, or if you want to bring your arms overhead. And then let your left hand come on back to touch the wall. And rise your right arm all the way out and up overhead. And then reach towards the wall with that right hand. If you can, let the fingertips touch it. You can let your left arm hang down if you want to. So you're in a side stretch here in your tree. Breathing into that right side. And now you can use your left hand on the wall to rise yourself back up. We're going to come on down, and we're going to turn around and come to the other side. So take your time. If you need to take care of that left leg at all, do. We're going to come into bringing the left foot in either below or above the knee. Feel the foot gently coming into the inside of the leg and the inside of the leg coming back into the foot. And then again, if you can take your hand off the wall, either bringing your hands to your heart or maybe you need to bring your arms overhead. Maybe you need to put the foot down and bring it back up. And then when you're ready, right hand is going to come back to touch the wall. Left arm out and up overhead. And now just lean over towards the wall. See if you can let the left fingertips touch the wall. If they can, then maybe you can just let your right arm hang. And you can just breathe into the left side here. And then we're going to come back up. So take your time. Let yourself release on back up. You can find tree pose again there for a second if you can. And then we'll release. We're going to come on down. We're going to turn around, feet back towards the wall, and come down onto our mats with our feet touching the wall into child's pose. Let your toes, tips of your toes touch the baseboard there, the wall. And then release and breathe. You can bring your arms wherever feels comfortable for your shoulders. So you can keep your arms soft overhead, or you can bring your arms back alongside your legs if that feels good in your shoulders. I mean, you can even put your forehead on your hands if you want to. And just nice, easy breaths. Good. And then let's bring our arms forward. Come onto your forearms here now. Let your hips shift up off your heels. And now here you are, clasping your hands, sending your pinky finger out. You have your elbows about shoulder distance apart, and you're pressing down, straight down into your forearms. Let your elbows, imagine your elbows are trying to pull towards each other. So you feel that hollowing in your armpits. And then let your heart melt down a little bit. So instead of tensing up into that upper back, there's this sense of the heart melting down, this release between the shoulder blades. And that's what you want to try to keep as you lift up and come on into your dolphin pose with your heels up the wall. If you're not in the right place for your shoulders, come down. You might want to get closer or farther from the wall with your forearms to where you get to that spot where you feel fine. And then if you can, lift your right foot up the wall, curl the toes under, and lift the right foot up the wall too. You can even press into that foot and lift the left foot a little off the floor if you want. And then you can come back down and switch. Left foot up the wall if you're doing this part. You can lift away a little bit with that right foot off the floor. Put a little more into the shoulders. And then you can come down and you can switch to whatever you want here. Rest in child's pose if you're done, or rest for a few seconds and then go up again. And you can walk both feet up at the same time if you choose. So be mindful. Don't overdo. Just take your time and release when you're ready into however you like to rest. So it can be child's pose. It can be sitting with your head up above your heart. Good. Take your time. If you haven't come down, when you do come down, find a way to rest for 3 or 4 more breaths. And then we're all going to come down onto our bellies on our mats. So coming on down, let yourself release. Make a little pillow with your hands. Release your forehead down onto your hands if that's okay for you. And then just breathe. Let your legs bend. Let your knees bend and then circle through the feet both ways. And then let your lower legs come from one side to the other if this is okay for you to release your back. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. Good. And then we'll come on back to long legs. Let's release our arms down alongside us. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float everything up into a little locust pose. Now, see if you can. Come down a little bit, but not all the way to the floor. And then on your next inhale, maybe go up a little bit. And then again, let yourself come down a little bit. And then inhale up a little bit. One more time. Down a little bit. And then inhaling up. And then stretch your right arm out overhead. We're going to roll onto our right side. Let yourself get set up like you're standing in your mountain pose. So feet are right underneath the hips. Flex through both the feet. Feel the outside edge of the right foot pressing into the floor. And then from here, bring your left foot up like you're doing tree here. You can bring it up as high as you want. And then see if you can use your left hand to draw your left knee in towards your little bit, towards your shoulder really. Now, whether you want to extend into that long leg or not is up to you. You can extend into left leg being long and allow yourself to either hold the front of the back of the leg or your foot. Rotate that left heel forward. Keep pressing gently into the outside edge of that right foot. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to lower the leg on back down. And now we're going to roll back through the belly and onto the other side. So take your time. Let yourself come on to the other side and set yourself up here. So get yourself again, feet right underneath the hips. Lift the right leg up a little bit higher so you've got yourself hips distance apart with your feet. Press into the outside edge of that left foot. And then bringing that right foot in like you're doing tree. And using your right hand to draw the right knee in more towards you. And the extension up is up to you. You've got a nice hip release right here. You're also using your core like crazy. You can extend up if you want, holding on to the big toe hold or letting yourself hold behind or in front of that leg. Think about rotating the right heel a little forward, that outward hip rotation. Everything's working here. Just enjoy Anantasana. One more breath here. And when we lower it, let yourself release down. And from here, we're going to roll back onto our belly again and come onto our forearms, coming into a Sphinx pose. So finding release that way, letting yourself, if your elbows need to come back down towards your waist or come forward more, do. Bring your gaze between your hands, maybe a little forward of between your hands. Good. And then we're going to come down. We're going to shift back through child's pose, just a breath or two in child's pose to let the back release a little more. And then we'll bring our hands by our knees, and we're going to come on up around to sitting. So letting yourself come on around and bringing your legs out for a second, shake them out and get easy there. And we're going to bring the soles of the feet together and come into a little Baddha Konasana. So, in this pose, if you try to pull your feet in and it makes you sit like this, you're much better off to keep your feet a little further out, right? Sitting up on a blanket's fine too. Using your hands behind you if you need to give you support, so that when you do, another thing you can do too is bring blocks underneath your knees, right? So if you know that your hips, when you sit like this, tend to tighten and tense up, the blocks underneath can really help you find a release there. So just sitting up nice and tall, letting yourself imagine your knees are gently reaching away from the midline. Feeling that length all the way up through the top of your head. Now, whether you come forward or not in this pose, up to you. You're more than welcome to ease your way forward with a nice long back, or you can stay sitting upright. So if the pose in itself is difficult for you, let yourself stay sitting upright if it's better for you to do that. Just allowing that release through the hips, the inner thighs. Good. So one more nice full breath here. And then take your time. We're going to come on back up and let your hands help you bring your knees up for a second and lean back just a little bit. Let yourself feel how your core engages when you do that. And then think about bringing your hands in and holding on either to your ankles or, if you can hold, wrap around your feet and hold there, do, so that you're balanced. Just make sure you don't roll backwards. And you can decide here if you want to even think about one leg coming out at a time and let yourself play a little bit there, because it really makes the core work, especially when you're doing the one leg, actually, even more so than when you do both at the same time. So you can play with both too if you'd like. Knees can stay bent. You can think about extending if you want into length of the legs, but that's not always such a great thing. And you can hold the outside of your legs rather than your feet. So be where you can. Good. And then we're going to come on back down and let yourself come forward just a little bit there, just to find a little bit more. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to bring our knees on up, and we are going to come on down onto our backs on our mats. So let yourself release on down. Come on down. You can roll down if you want. Bring your knees into your chest. Let your knees come a little bit side to side. Just be mindful. Let it feel good. Feel the low back releasing, whether you like to circle knees or just let them come side to side. And then keep your right knee into your chest, and let's extend our left leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Let yourself enjoy feeling the right leg coming back into your hands, so that it's almost like you're pushing the leg into your hands. You get a little bit more of that natural curve in your low back. And then we'll switch. We're going to bring the left leg in and stretch the right leg long. And again, feel like you're pressing your leg gently into your hands. And then we'll come on back, bringing your knees in one more time. If you want to curl up into a little ball, bringing your face in towards your knees, you can if that feels good. And then we'll go ahead and come back down with the head with the feet on the floor. We're going to cross our right thigh over our left, thigh over thigh, okay? Flex the right foot. Really feel the right foot flexing. Bring your arms out into a T position beside you. I like to face my palms up, but if you feel better to face your palms down, do it. And what we're going to try to do here is use our core to just lift our knees in towards our chest. So let yourself draw your legs in, flex through both your feet. Let it feel pretty good just to feel that release there in the outer right hip. And then we're going to put the left foot back down to the floor. And we're going to lift our hips up, shift them to the right 2 or 3 inches and put them down. And we're going to let our knees go to the left towards a twist. So as your knees come to the left, if you need to grab a blanket or a block and support your legs a little bit, do it, so that you're able to release into this twist. And once you get fairly comfortable with your legs, let your head turn to the right, and you might even want to reach your right arm up a little bit higher, so it comes kind of towards the corner, that right corner of your mat there. That's optional, shoulder optional, right? So try to get comfortable where you can release into the twist and just breathe. Let the twist, let the pose do the work for you. You're just breathing. Right, flex the left foot. Now, before you think about drawing your knees in, think about using the core body to do that. So use your core to draw the knees in, the thighs in, flex through both your feet. Really just let yourself, without using your hands, just really feel the thighs drawing in towards your ribs. One more breath. And then put the right foot back down onto the floor. Lift your hips up a couple inches. Shift to the left 2 or 3 inches. Put them down. And then go ahead and let your knees come to the right. And if you need that block underneath the knees or the legs somewhere, use it for support. And then see if you can just very easily turn to look to the left. Roll your head to look left. Rise the left arm up a little higher if it feels good. Feeling that long line down the left side of the body. One more breath. And now as you start to head up, go ahead and uncross your legs again. Get your feet right underneath you. Straighten out your spine. And do a couple of little easy pelvic tilts. Let yourself exhale, curl your tailbone up. Now you can roll up through the spine if you want. If you like those rolling bridges, you can roll up and down a little bit or not. Not everybody likes those. If you'd prefer to do something else, a regular bridge, a supported bridge, another pose or movement entirely, listen to your body. Give yourself a minute or two here before we come into Shavasana to let yourself do what you need. That could be anything. So take your time. You all that are here at the studio, you know if you decide a little support for Shavasana sounds like a good idea, I can bring you whatever you need, bolsters, blankets. Let yourself get your arms and your legs to a place where you can be comfortable. If you need support at home, remember sometimes a little bit underneath your knees, whether it's a rolled blanket or pillow, bolster, can help if your back feels iffy. Or a little bit of support at the back of your head if you feel like your chin is lifting up and you're tensing up in the back of your neck. Just a little bit underneath the back of your head can be very helpful. Just let yourself start to release into watching your breath. Nothing you need to do. Just see if you can watch the wave of the breath coming in and going out. And keep returning to that wave of the breath whenever your mind wanders. Giving yourself these few minutes time to benefit from all you just did, just by letting yourself completely and fully relax. gradually now start to bring your awareness back, feeling the support of the ground underneath you again, and letting your breaths gradually deepen, feeling the actual physical movement as you breathe in and out. And let your fingers, your toes, your hands, and your feet lead you into moving up through the arms, the legs when you're ready. Moving how you need to. If you need to stretch, do. If you need to bring your knees in towards your chest, roll your head side to side. Take your time. You know, you can roll to either your right or your left side if you're comfortable to do that, into a soft fetal position. You can always use your arm as a pillow if you don't have a blanket there, and give the body and the brain a little more time to adjust. And of course, when you're ready to rise up, let yourself feel like almost like you're floating your way up if you can, staying nice and soft, relaxed. Starting to almost feel like as you sit how it's comfortable for you, it's almost like your bones take over to support you. Lengthen up through the top of the head and feel yourself get really easy in the way you're sitting. And come back to watching your breaths in and out again. And let your next exhale bring your hands gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Tuesday, everybody.